How's everybody doing? We're back again now previewing the Bahrain game that Iran will be playing my time in the morning on Sunday, which is going to be great clash, Iran versus Bahrain. And we're also going to be discussing about our friendly match versus Iraq. We're back again with the regular panelists, Babak, Goris, and Sina Saemian. How you guys doing?
Good, good. Nice to be here again, and nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to speak to you guys again, and looking forward to discussing our discussing the topics in mind for tomorrow's game.
Thank you, Sina. Thank you, Babak. And we're back again now with Pejman Pars, which he runs his own blog. He was our guest on the last podcast, but he's going to be a regular panelist. And I want to thank him for coming on. How you doing, Pejman?
Hi, Pasha. Hi, guys. Thank you for the invite. Nice to be back with you guys.
Thank you. And today we have a special guest, but he's not going to be a special guest anymore. He's going to be a regular panelist throughout this tournament for Iran. And I want to thank Alireza Peykan, who is a football agent, and he's notable for that because he helps a lot of our youngsters. His clients are Saeed Zatulai, Mustafa Jabbari, and Reza Karimi, to name a few. And I just want to thank him for coming on. How you doing, Alireza?
Hi, Pasha John. Hello, guys. Nice to talk with you. I hope that we are going to have nice discussions about the Iranian national team. Thank you for the advice.
Thank you guys for all your input and stuff, and it's going to be a great, interesting podcast we're going to do throughout this tournament. Now, the first thing I want to touch point on is going to be the friendly match we had versus Iraq. Obviously, we're the less prepared team than mostly of the big nations and the people in our group, obviously. But I'm going to touch this with Babak first. Can you just give me just a short brief about your sum up your overall performance of what you thought Iran did versus Iraq?
Yeah, to be honest, when I saw the starting lineup, I was a little bit surprised. I thought due to the fact that we had very little preparation, we would potentially have play more of our regulars. But looking at, once that shock subsided, I looked at the facts, and fact is Queiroz has a lot of confidence in his own tactical ability and probably believes in his players very much. That's why he's taken the same core from the last tournament, and there's a possibility that we would face Iraq in the next round. So overall, performance-wise, I thought took us the first 15-20 minutes, we were a little bit nervous and reckless. That was to be expected, especially at defense. We were clearing the ball, we were not combining well. Iraq themselves, they were getting into decent positions, but they were not able to, they didn't have the quality to penetrate us. As the game wore on, we got a little bit more comfortable, but I wasn't impressed from the performance because we couldn't really string that many passes together or have really good build-up play. But individually, there were one or two players who let's say they left a good impression. Sardar Azmoun in attack, he was lively, he was pressing all the time. His goal obviously was very good as well. Rafi, I thought he was very busy as well, although he was probably trying too hard to impress. Pura Ali Ganji in defense, his first game at centre back, he was decent. The goalkeeper looks like a dominant figure, Beiran Vand, for the future. But overall, I think we got a good result as usual, but performance-wise, not much for me to be excited about.
Mm-hmm. Sina?
Yeah, I think Babak pretty much pointed out all the things that needed to be said. Although I think, as he said, he was a team made of mostly our reserves players, and it was interesting because we played with two strikers in Azmoun and Ansari Fard, and Ansari Fard captaining the team on the day, he didn't look sharp. Let's say he kind of disappointed me, but there was also our two new players on the right hand side with Ghafouri and the young right-sided player in Ramin Rezayan, and I thought they did all right. Ghafouri pushed on forward really well, even though he's a right back for his club at Sepahan. But Rezayan, he's 22 and he looked really eager to make an impression. He was putting the challenges in. He looked really up for it, and I think that's what Queiroz really wanted to see. Also, there was Omid Ebrahimi as well in midfield. he was inconsistent during the game a little bit, but he did all right altogether. There was a few times when he did break up the play really well with a couple of good interceptions and tried to play off of the pass and make a move, and it was all right to see. But there was also our centre backs. You know, they're not actually centre backs. Pour Ali Ganji is a defensive midfielder, and Bekzadeh, who unfortunately it was injured a few days ago and had to be sent back home. He's a left back, and they weren't really tested as much, but they looked solid. Kept a clean sheet for us. But I think it was mostly about finding out who the third choice centre back was going to be, because as we've mentioned, we only have two recognised centre backs in Hosseini and Sadeghi, and I think Pour Ali Ganji did himself a favour in terms of showing his abilities.
Alireza, what did you make out of this game versus Iraq?
Pasha Hajian, it was a good game from these new players. I don't call them youngsters because, in my opinion, they are 22, 23. These guys have to play in the national team. They made a good impression, especially Bahrain. He was good. He's a good keeper. Also from left to Tehran, he's doing well all season, and he's a solid player. I think he deserves to play on the Asian Cup. However, Hariri is a wonderful keeper, but I think Bahrain has the skills to be in the next 10 years the first keeper of Iran. So I think we must give him the chance to prove it, and I think Asian Cup, especially with the Bahrain match coming up, he can prove it. And to give an answer on your question, it's also Ghafouri is also a nice player. I think he has very skills. He's a quick player, so I think he is also deserves a chance in the national team.
Pejman?
I don't really have much to add. I do agree that Ansar Fad made a poor game. Bahrain looks solid, and also interesting to see players like Pour Ali Ganji and Amiri getting some time. I found Rezoyan a little bit too eager, or maybe unpolished. He seemed a little bit wild, in my opinion. Maybe he wanted to show himself off a little bit too much, making some errors. And also, I think Rafi lost the ball a little bit too often. But all in all, it was a good performance, thinking that these guys they don't have any caps, or very few of them. So all in all, it's a good experience for them.
Thank you, guys. Now, my second question, coming back to Iraq, we've obviously discussed about Ebrahimi, Rafi'i, Ghafouri, and Azmoun. Considering that our starting 11 versus Iraq was made mostly out of our reserve players, domestic players in Iran, who impressed you the most and increased his chances of pushing for a starting spot? Sina.
Well, I mean, Sadr Azmoun certainly didn't do himself any harm scoring goals. He scored against South Korea, and he scored a few in the South Africa and the Portugal camp as well. So he's certainly been giving headaches to Queiroz for his starting 11. But I think after the fact that we saw a centre back feature at right back in the ball, that shows the right back spot is still available, and I think Ghafouri certainly made a good impression. And personally, I expect him to start at right back. I think getting forward, he's good. He's a quick player. He's good on the ball, and what I certainly believe is that we are a team that's always had good fullbacks in terms of getting forward, and I think Ghafouri certainly falls into that category. And if given the chance, I don't think he will disappoint. So.
Alireza, who would you say out of these reserves players deserved a starting place in a starting 11? Yeah, just ran into a little bit technical difficulty. Sina, could you say, so you agree that Ghafouri deserves a starting place in Queiroz's side?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I think from the options that we have at right back, Ghafouri is certainly one that would play well if he's given the chance. So yeah, I would certainly want to see him in the starting 11 tomorrow against Bahrain.
Alireza, so Sina thinks that Ghafouri deserves a starting place because he's impressed not only domestically but in the game versus Iraq. Do you agree? Is that a player that you want to see in the starting 11, or is it somebody else from our domestic players that you think deserves it?
Yes, I agree with Sina, especially because Heydari isn't fit 100%, so I think he can start. But Sardar Azmoun has played well and scored in the last 2 matches, and he shows his talent, and he's eager to show to the world. So I think it's good for a striker that he has confidence, and he can, especially against the Arabian countries like Bahrain, Qatar, Emirates, he can do something, I think.
True. Pejman, who would it be, or do you agree with the guys?
Yeah, I can see Voria Ghafouri starting at the right, and I think Azmoun could very well take a position in the front if he decides to play with 2 forwards.
Babak?
Personally, if Ghafouri was going to start at right back, then I would have liked to have seen him play at right back. He played largely as a right winger against Iraq. I think if Heydari is fit, he's going to start. What happens in the second game is possible things can change, but I don't think any of the players who started against Iraq will start. I would like to see Sardar Azmoun start, possibly behind Reza Guchanejad. Or maybe as it progresses to come on instead of Reza, especially if Reza is not getting that much support. I feel Azmoun can push the line a little bit further than Reza can. So Omid Ebrahimi as well. I enjoyed seeing him. I think if Teimourian is not able to play, I think he can slot him. Yeah, he needs to be a little bit more composed, but he hassles the opponents, which is good.
Thank you guys for your input. Now we're going to preview, obviously our first game against Bahrain, which is going to be a crucial one because Bahrain compared to Qatar and UAE is supposed to be the weakest side. And some interesting things that I found out was that last time we played versus Bahrain, I believe it was in the World Cup qualifier, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2011, which we drew 0-0. And the last time that we lost against them was 4-2. Right, and the interesting with that is it was a friendly, but only Haj Safi and Heydari were the only 2 remaining players that we have now that were back in that squad. Not even Nekonam or Andranik Teymourian were called back. So it's been a long time since we played them. However, I want to come back to you with Alireza before even we get into specific details between Iran and Bahrain. Looking at our lineup, what is your preferred lineup, Alireza, versus Bahrain? Or not just Bahrain, but in the whole sense of the tournament? Is that the same lineup you'll go for everyone? Or is this just a specific lineup you'll go for Bahrain?
Queiroz has shown that he keeps confidence in his own players. He uses 14, 15 men. I think he's going to play like the World Cup, the 4-1-4-1. And the wingers, yeah, it depends how you look. If the wingers play a little bit higher, then it's a 4-3-3. But I think we don't have creative players. I think he made in last years he made a counter-attack football. So I think he's going to play a 4-1. So that is what I think. I think that Heydari will play with the 2 defenders, Hosseini and Sadeghi, Pouladi, and Nekonam Teymourian, Dejaga, Haj Safi, and Reza Guchanejad.
Reza Gushin. Thank you.
I think Shojai is not going to play.
You think Shojai, but you think Puladi is going to start, which is very interesting. Babak, do you agree with Alireza's lineup, especially considering that Puladi hasn't played for a long time, and is he really match fit, or would you put Haj Safi as left back, or what would you go with?
I think it's purely going to depend on if Queiroz thinks that Puladi is match fit. He looked a little bit tired towards the end of the last game, but it was a week ago, so the rehab might have been good. I would like to think that for the first game, Haj Safi will play left back, which is an offensive move, and maybe we'll have Shojai, Dejaga and Jahan Bakhsh behind Reza. I think he may go a little bit more offensive in this game than in the games after, where we can see Ehsan Haj Safi move to midfield next to Teimourian and Nekunam. But more or less, I agree with his lineup.
Pejman? So Pejman, considering what Babak and Alireza said, do you agree with their lineup, or would you go with something completely different against Bahrain?
It's a hard question. I do agree that their lineups could very well be possible. I think one good thing that we have to remember here, what Queiroz has done, is that we're less dependent on individual players, and we're more dependent, or we're more as a team now, making it important that all players, no matter what position they play, they follow the same tactics and the same idea. In that way, I'm very hopeful. Although that doesn't mean that we can have players like Desjardins on the bench. Nevertheless, I think the lineups could very well happen.
Sina?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's 2-3 lineups that could well happen. But as I said, I think it's not something that I would put out, but I think what Queiroz might do is play Ghafouri at right back and play Haydari at right mid or right wing, if you like, as he has done on many occasions down the years. So I think he might go with that lineup. Puladi is a bit of a weird one, because if Begzadeh was still fit, we might have made an argument for Begzadeh to start, considering Puladi's fitness. But as we know, Begzadeh was injured a few days ago, and I don't think Queiroz is planning on playing Haj Safi at left back. So we might very well see Puladi starting solely because he doesn't really have much of a choice to consider.
Mm-hmm. Now, my next question for you guys is...
Sorry, Pasha.
No problem.
Can just ask something.
Yes.
Casino mentioned Haydari. If Haydari is going to play double up with Ghafouri on the right, where does that leave Alireza Jahan Bakhsh? Because for me, he should be the first name on the team sheet.
Yeah, I personally think he should start as well. But from what we've seen of Queiroz and the way he lines up, he's obviously a big fan of Haydari, and Haydari admitted this week that if it wasn't for Queiroz being the manager, he might not have been called up to the Asian Cup or the squads before that. So it clearly shows Queiroz believes in him and trusts him and sees something in him. So I think he might start at right mid or right wing. I don't think it's necessary because, let's be honest, Bahrain wouldn't pose the threat of Bosnia or Nigeria as we saw in the World Cup. So we wouldn't necessarily need to have a defensive-minded right winger playing that role. But I think it's an option that Queiroz will consider.
So I want to keep touching on this point. I'm going to with you, Alireza. Do you agree with Queiroz going with this too conservative tactic, as Sina has mentioned, or it's against Bahrain, and we're supposed to be much better than them, and we're trying to get 3 points? Or would you agree with what Sina is saying in that sense, playing too conservative? Because we know Queiroz is known for that. Or it would be more open free play with Deja again, Alireza Jahan Bakhsh on the wings, for example.
Yes, that is what I was telling.
Yeah.
Queiroz don't play a lot of attack football. So I think against Bahrain we must play 4-3-3 with the wingers. Alireza and Dejaga, and we must attack because it's a must-win. We must win against Bahrain. If we don't win, we draw, then we get a lot of problems because it's not only football, it's also political game with those Arab countries. So I think we must pressure them. We must 90 minutes play full press football, and in my opinion, it's gonna be a one-way match, and we will score 2-3 goals if we attack. If we don't attack, if we play a 4-1-4-1, it could be difficult because Bahrain is not gonna attack. So in my opinion, we must press forward. We must put the balls in the box, and the strikers they must have a good day, and they must score. That's the only way to win against this Bahrain, is because we don't have a lot of creative players. And a few matches ago, we played against them. It was Moshtaba Jabbari, and a few years ago it was Ali Karimi. These were creative guys. We don't have it. But what Pejman said, Queiroz is a great coach. He made Iran a great team, a spirit that we have never seen before. At the World Cup, if you look at the World Cup, what Iran was, how Iran was playing. Okay, they were not attacking, but we don't consider a lot of goals. So I think it's for Bahrain, Qatar, and the Emirates. It's impossible to score against Iran. That's my opinion. If they play with the same intention at the World Cup, but we have a problem with scoring, and I think we must put pressure on Bahrain. We are not creative, so we must press as a team that we will overrule them.
Pejman, would you like to add anything to what Sina's lineup said and the rest of the panel?
Just very shortly. After 90 minutes, it's not important if what we call it 4-2-3-1, 4-1-4-1, 4-4-2. I do agree with Alireza saying that the amount of creative players is something that we lack of, and I think that's something that can harm us in the end. But we must not forget, as I think Sina or Babak said, that after all, this is Bahrain we play against, not Bosnia, not Argentina. So I'm still confident.
Thank you.
Sorry, just to make one last point. Alireza is absolutely right in saying, it's a game that we have to win. We absolutely have to win. And I think that mindset might just make Queiroz think, well, do you know what? It's a game that we have to win. We can't afford to lose. So why not just go out there and make sure we keep that clean sheet from the start, which is our philosophy under it, making sure things are solid at the back, to make sure we keep that clean sheet. And once we've got into the game, then play a more offensive game. And we could see that with the substitutions in the second half. If he stops Hindari on the right, then we could see Jahanbakhsh coming on very early in the second half to add a bit more firepower. Again, it depends on how he sees the game, how he analyzes Bahrain, and how he wants to.
Thank you.
Sorry, can I just add a little something?
Of course.
Yeah, I agree with everyone. But the thing is, when was the last time Iran was able to take the game to the opposition and be creative, be incisive, open up the defense? That's not a style of football we're able to, let's say, execute well. And that's the main reason why we were in trouble at a point to qualify for the World Cup. And Queiroz had a complete 180-degree change to his thinking, and set up the team in a different way. I think he's going to put attacking players in the side, not necessarily put a conservative lineup, but I really think that the style of play should not deviate too much from what we've seen over the last 12 or 18 months, because the players haven't really played that way. I would be more worried if we tried to play a different type of football, because it may allow the opposition to get in at the back as well. Jahanbakhsh, for me, has to start. There's no way I would be happy if he's on the bench and Haydari and Ghafouri play there. So, overall, I think we may have an attacking lineup, but the play should be a little bit cautious.
Thank you. I have one question coming back to this before we get into and touching base on Bahrain, is that looking at our players, and we have a good visual representation on paper who's gonna start. If you had to pick out one key player that could dominate this game for us and could be that one man that could change this whole game for us, coming to you, Pejman, who would you say it's gonna be?
Who's going to be the player that will dominate for Iran?
Yeah, someone that is gonna be the game changer, someone that we need to be on his best form.
I have earlier said Nekunam, but I think I'm going to change my mind this time because I think our internationally experienced players, such as Dejare and Nejad, one of them will be very crucial for us because this is games that will probably be playing more offensive than in the World Cup. So it's very important for these kind of players to step up and do what they do best. They're doing okay in the Arab leagues that they're playing, and it's these kinds of players that they play against every week. They know what they're up against. Therefore, I can't see them being surprised of how Bahrain and Qatar and UAE will play. So hopefully we'll see Dejawad doing as great as he did in his debut against Qatar when he scored 2 goals.
Sina?
Sorry, what was the question again? Can you?
So.
Oh, the start key player. Sorry.
Yeah. Or somebody that do you think is going to be the big key player, not just in the tournament aspect, but against Bahrain, that we definitely need to be on his best, and somebody that could change the game for us. That one man, who would you think is going to be?
I think one thing that we certainly need to point out is something that Pejman has been mentioning a few times, and it's the fact that we don't rely on individual players anymore, and we play more as a team. And I think that will certainly come into effect whether we play against Bahrain or Argentina or Brazil or anyone else. But I think big players, whether it's Nekunam, Andranik, Huchan Nejad, these players are certainly players that we look up to make things happen. I think Nekunam certainly on set pieces is something we will definitely look to score a few goals. He's scored a numerous amount of goals from set pieces in terms of whether it's headers or direct free kicks. So I think that's a positive point for us to have top players for set pieces, corners, and free kicks, etc. So I think that's important. But as he said, Dejaga and Housham Nejad are certainly players. We should look to perform not only because they've played in Europe before and they have that European upbringing, if you like, but because in recent few months they've been playing against this kind of football around the Persian Gulf, and we should look to them to perform.
Babak?
Pejman said it perfectly, really. I do think the players that play in the leagues like the Qatari League, for example, can step up more comfortably. Personally speaking, I keep on talking about him, Alireza Jahanbakhsh. I feel if we're going to have a really good tournament and go really far, this guy can really become one of the stars in Asian football. I think there will be a lot of scouts there as well, or there should be at least. He's got 8 goals and 12 assists this season and only 20 starts, so he's very productive. He may be a surprise for a lot of the opponents who are not that familiar with him. He's a new name for them. He's a new name for us as well. So I would like to think that this guy can have a very, very big tournament, among the best players in the tournament.
Thank you. Alireza, anything you would like to add?
Yeah. I think Jahanbakhsh has is in great form. He's young. A lot of scouts of big clubs are watching him. He knows it. I think he's gonna prove himself. I think he has great mentality. He's a great professional. I know Alireza because my friend is his agent, and I think he has a great mentality. He runs all the time. He fights all the time. His physical are good. He has good technique. His set pieces are also nice. He has a great pass. I think it's gonna be the best player for Iran, and I think also he's gonna start, in my opinion, because the Jaga is also good, but the mental will of John Bash is enormous. It's very big. He wants to prove himself. He wants to be the man of Iran.
So, sorry guys, do you guys think he will have the freedom that he has in NEC in terms of getting forward and roaming from his position? Because I'm led to believe he doesn't just play on right wing. He has the pass to roam around, not necessarily on the pitch, but he doesn't keep a certain position. And do you think he will have that option playing for Iran? He will have that freedom.
I think so because. The national team of Iran, they don't have a number 10. We have players who can play on the 10, like Mohammad Nouri or Saderian, Mosalman. They can play on the 10, but we didn't pick them. So it's gonna be. We have space over there, so they can cut inside. But I think Queiroz gives the creative players gives all the they can fulfill all the chances.
Babak?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's no reason why he can't have some freedom. Overall, in the games we've seen him play for Iran, whether it's starting against Korea, I think it was, or whether it's coming off the bench at the World Cup, you notice he was very busy. He was running, he was pressing, he was cutting inside, he was sending balls in. He's an active type of player. That's his style of play. So I don't think he's going to be too restricted, especially in these three games where he's going to have the chance to attack his fullback or cut inside in the space which Alireza said exists in this team, especially if Ehsan Hajsafi plays in midfield alongside Teimourian and Nekuno.
Pejman?
Well, we started with me, so I don't have anything to add really.
So we're gonna go touch base on the Bahrain and see their. So now we want to touch base on Bahrain and what this tournament means for them and how they're gonna approach us against us. So Baba, can you tell us some about Bahrain? Because I know you're a good general overview of Middle Eastern countries, especially in the Arab countries, and some key players that Bahrain have that could cause us troubles.
Yeah, well, Bahrain generally didn't have a good tournament at the Gulf Cup, which is the main tournament when it comes to the Persian and Gulf countries other than Iran. They really take it very seriously. Some of them actually prefer winning that than even qualifying for the World Cup. It's very big there. They went out at the group stage with a couple of draws and a defeat. The preparations was a little bit up and down, but then he's Bahraini. He just took over recently. When it comes to players, some of them will be familiar to Iranian fans. The goalkeeper Saeed Jafar, he's their number one still. You have Mohammad Hussein, he's the captain. He's the number two. He usually wears the number two. He's about 34 now. He's playing in Saudi Arabia. You have Hussein Ali Baba. He was one of the players who played in that infamous 3-1 defeat for Iran all those years ago. You have in midfield number 7, Abdul Wahab Al Safi. He's a pretty good player. He's playing in Saudi Arabia as well. For me, the star man is Fawzi Ayesh. He's from North Africa. I think he's Algerian originally. He was naturalized as a Bahraini a few years ago. He's number 10. He actually wears the number 12, but he's a number 10 type of player. He can also cut inside. He's very dangerous. Definitely too good for Bahrain, I would say. Tall, skinny guy. He's good. He's quick. He's very. He hassles the opponents. He gets into good positions. He scores a lot of goals. He's going to be the danger man. And then J.C. John. He was, I think, another naturalized player from Africa, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure which country. It could be Nigeria originally, but he's already got 21 goals in 45 games, so it's going to be those two are going to be the front two. I think they'll play something more like a 4-4-2. I would say overall they are the easier of our three opponents, but they won't be that easy anyway. They're going to attack. They're not going to necessarily want to sit back with 10 men. I think they will have their chances as well. So we need to start very cautiously and get into the game. But a few good players there, but we should beat them. There's no excuses for us.
Is there anything you like to add with what Bobak said? Because I know you touched based on the political aspect of the game. So what does that mean for Bahrain when it comes to politics? And, we know when Arab countries, when it comes to politics, they be more vulgar and more willing to play their hearts out. What are your thoughts on Bahrain?
Yes, it's not an ordinary game for them. They always want to beat Iran, even if they're chanceless to go on further in the group. But they want to beat Iran. So I think it's dangerous for us, and we must have the drive to win them. And I think the physical contact, we have to be strong. We have to beat them in every physical contact. We have to be strong. We have to be as a team. We work as a team. And then, but to be honest, I don't see a lot of problems that we are going to get tomorrow. I think we're going to win, and then we will focus on the Qatar match. That's what I think. But the Bobek is more specialized than the Arab countries. He had a great analysis of players, so it makes me nervous a little bit.
Yeah. Pejman?
Bobak's analysis of Bahrain was really great. He knows a lot about them more than I do. But the one thing I want to say, this is not just for Bahrain, also for Qatar and UAE, and also for Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, all these Arabic countries around Persian Gulf. They have this, as a lot of you guys know, they have this strange rule not allowing foreign goalkeepers in their domestic leagues. Which I guess the idea is to have a better competition for their own goalkeepers. But what it's led to is that we see a lot of poor goalkeeping from these kind of countries. Every now and then they get a good goalkeeper, but generally, I think that could be one of our strengths, to really testing their goalkeepers in this tournament and finding their weaknesses, because, oh boy, do they have some weaknesses. If any of you guys saw this Saudi Arabia versus China today, we saw the Saudi goalkeeper being really slow and poor decisioning many times.
Sina?
Yeah, I think they certainly will look to this game to get a draw. They won't really have that much hope of winning. Although we won't be underestimating them for sure, but I think they'd be very, very happy with the draw, and I think that's how they'll try to approach the game as well. Which it doesn't really. It could work for us, or it couldn't, considering the way we decide to play against them. We know the importance of it for them and for us as well, after the many eventful games that we've had against Bahrain. But I think it's a game that we definitely have to win. Whether we want to go up as a second spot team or we want to top the group, this is a game that we have to win, and I'm hoping that we get the result as well.
Thank you guys for your input. We're going to go to the last section about predictions of this, because we know, it's a tournament, and always the first game of the tournament is really important, especially that we have Qatar next, and they're really, really on top-notch form. I'm going to ask you this, Alireza. Can you tell me your predictions for this Iran versus Bahrain? So, Alireza, can you give us your match prediction for Iran versus Bahrain?
I'm going. I think it's going to be 2-0 for Iran.
Ooh.
In the first half, they're going to defend a lot, I think, Bahrain. But after that, I think after the 1-0, they must attack, and I think it's going to be 2-0.
I'll be filled with joy if we score 2 goals. Sina?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I think 2-0 is maybe something a little like, hoping too much for 2 goals, but I think it's something we can definitely achieve. So yeah, I'm going for a 2-0 as well.
Pejman?
I'll go with 1-0, thinking with my heart. I don't want my brain in this really, because then I will probably say 1-1. But I'll go with 1-0, Sadar Azmoun scoring once again.
Wow, off the bench or a starter?
Off the bench, I think.
Off the bench. Oh, interesting. That
In the
Babak.
second half.
Babak, what's your prediction?
I'm a bit of I don't know if you call it a realist or a pessimist, but
We'll call it a pessimist.
I'm going to stick to what Pejman's head was going to be initially, which was a 1-1, unfortunately. But I'm hoping that I will unjinx us that way and we'll get a very comfortable win.
All right. Thank you guys for.
Guys, I have a question. Don't forget that we have beaten South Korea, Uzbekistan, Bahrain. It's not a big competition, for us. And if we don't win, we will maybe be second in the group, and then we will most likely we will play against Japan. Queiroz doesn't want that. He wants to play against Jordan or Iraq. So we must win, So a draw is not the solution for the national team. So I think he's going to be. He's telling the players we must win. We need to win. We must win. So that's my opinion. A draw is.
Alireza, I agree.
It's the worst what I can think of.
Alireza, I agree completely. We have to win, and I'm sure that we will try to win. But my worry is that this team is not built to take the games to opposition which are weaker than us, who is going to give us a little bit of respect and let us have the ball. I'm worried that we don't know what to do with the ball as much as a lot of the other team. But I'm sure we'll go for the win, and I hope that we will get it. So I was just trying to play devil's advocate with the prediction, but generally speaking, I am worried in this group about the fact that we have to take the game to the opponents, and maybe we're not able to do so.
Sina and Peshwa, anything you guys would like to add to this end of the last bits?
I do agree with Babak. I really hope that Queiroz have an idea that actually will work when we play against these kind of teams, because we're not used to having the ball as much as we will probably have against these three teams. How will we cope with that? Maybe it will be really great, like the 5-0, 5-1 wins against Lebanon back a couple of years ago. Who knows?
Sina?
Yeah, talking of big scorelines, we actually won against Bahrain 6-0 a couple of years ago in Tehran, but that is definitely not going to be the case this time around. But I think a bit of optimism is something you can't hide as a fan. You'll always be hoping for a good result. I sometimes feel like I'm an England supporter when I'm supporting Iran. Always hoping for better things, and things don't necessarily work out. But yeah, I'm hoping for a 2-0 win or even a 1-0. I think 3 points is 3 points, and a good start will give us a lot of confidence going into the game against Qatar, as our second game.
Thank you guys for doing this once again, and looking forward to speaking to you guys again soon after the Bahrain game. I hope that we'll have smiles on our faces, and especially looking forward to what Babak has to say if we end up winning. But thank you guys, and if you guys want to find me on Twitter, I'm at PASH021. Babak, what's your Twitter handle for the viewers?
I'm at Babak, BABAK, Golriz, GOLRIZ, just straight after each other on Twitter, Babak Golriz.
Sina?
You can find me at SINAA_SA.
Pejman?
My Twitter is in Swedish, so it's Iransk Fotboll, one word.
And for Alireza, I'll leave all his bits of information on SoundCloud. If you guys want to contact him via email or have questions or anything, concerns or anything, that'll be definitely uploaded in his bio. And but thank you guys once again for all this, and especially you, Alireza, for joining us. I know you're very, very busy back in Holland, but thank you guys.
Thank you, Pasha, for your hard work.